It begins with Ibrahim. According to the Bible, Abraham, or Ibrahim in Arabic, was born Abram in the land of Ur of Chaldees in modern-day Iraq. Abram means exalted father. Ibrahim's father was named Tarak and was born 9 generations after the great flood of Noah. Ibrahim had 2 brothers, Nahor and Haran. His brother Haran had a son named Lot, or Lut in Arabic. When Ibrahim became an adult, he married a woman named Sarah. Most of the people in Ibrahim's tribe worshipped wooden or stone idols, but Ibrahim rejected this practice. He would often gaze into the sky, pondering upon its celestial bodies. He quickly realized none of them could be his Lord, as they all disappeared at some point. Ibrahim alayhi salam came to the conclusion that there must be one omnipotent, omniscient deity that created the universe. Ibrahim went back to his people to challenge their beliefs. One day, while his people were at a festival, he snuck into the main temple and broke all of the idols except the largest one. When the people came back, they asked, "What happened?" Ibrahim pointed to the remaining idol and suggested they ask it. His people scoffed, saying he knew the idol could not speak. Ibrahim then asked, how could they worship something that could neither hurt them nor benefit them? Ibrahim was especially upset with his father for worshiping these idols. Despite his love for his father, Ibrahim continued to challenge his beliefs. Finally, Ibrahim's people were fed up with him and decided to get rid of him. They tried burning him alive, but Allah miraculously saved him. After that experience, Ibrahim knew it was time to leave. His people were not going to change their ways, and they had already tried to kill him once. Ibrahim left with his wife Sarah and his nephew Lut alayhimus salam and headed east towards Egypt. As they traveled through the land of Canaan and modern-day Palestine, Lut decided to part ways. He headed west towards the towns of Sodom and Gomorrah, where the people were involved in multiple sins. Ibrahim and Sarah continued on to Egypt, which had recently reunified after a period of internal strife. This was Egypt's Middle Kingdom period, which lasted from roughly 2055 BCE to 1650 BCE. During this period, Egypt was divided into provinces ruled by powerful families. The chief of one of these families used to kidnap any foreign women who entered his territory and kill their husbands. When Ibrahim alayhi salam learned this, he pretended to be Sarah's brother instead of her husband. The chief did try to kidnap Sarah, but Allah protected her. Humiliated, the chief gave Sarah a handmaiden named Hagar, or Hajar in Arabic, then ordered all 3 to leave his land. Ibrahim left Egypt, now with Sarah and Hajar, but still without a child. Knowing how much her husband wanted a son, Sarah suggested he take Hajar to his bed. From this union, Ibrahim's first child, Ishmael, or Ismail in Arabic, was born. Before long, jealousy grew between the 2 women. Allah instructed Ibrahim to take Hajar and Ismail, who was still a baby, deeper into Arabia. Ibrahim left Sarah behind while he, Hajar, and Ismail continued down the Arabian coast. They finally stopped at a barren valley the locals called Bakka. Ibrahim alayhi salam assured Hajar that this was all part of Allah's plan. He left her with a few provisions, then headed back north to Sarah. 12.5 years later, Sarah gave birth to a son named Isaac, or Ishaq in Arabic. This brings us to one of the key differences between the biblical narrative and the Islamic tradition. In the Bible, Ishmael and Isaac grow up together close to Ibrahim. Hajar was not sent away until after Isaac was born. However, in the Islamic tradition, Hajar leaves while Ismail is still a baby years before Ishaq is born. There is no indication the brothers ever met. The Hebrews in Egypt. In the Jewish and Christian traditions, God's promise to Abraham would be fulfilled through the progeny of Isaac. When he was 8 days old, Ishaq alayhi salam was circumcised just like his father and brother many years earlier. Perhaps the most famous story concerning Ishaq is his near sacrifice. With Ismail gone into the wilderness of Arabia, Ishaq was the only child living with Ibrahim alayhi salam. When Ishaq was still a boy, God ordered Abraham to sacrifice him as a test of his faith. Abraham obediently took his son and was prepared to kill him when God stopped him, told him it was just a test, and provided a ram for sacrifice instead. A similar story exists in the Quran, but doesn't specify whether the son was Ishaq or Ismail. However, Muslims have traditionally held that the son to be sacrificed was Ismail instead of Ishaq. At the age of 40, Isaac married Rebekah, who, just like his mother, was barren for many years. Isaac prayed to God for a child and was blessed with 2 of them, twins named Jacob and Esau. According to the Bible, Isaac favored Esau, while Rebekah favored Jacob, or Yaqub in Arabic. Being a few minutes older than his brother, Esau was to inherit all of Isaac's property. But Jacob tricked him out of his birthright, and the brothers became enemies. Also, according to the Bible, when Jacob grew up, he married his cousin Rachel, then her older sister Leah, then their slaves Bilhah and Zilpah. From these 4 women, he had 12 sons who would become the fathers of the 12 tribes of Israel. However, Rachel was his favorite, and she bore him his 2 favorite sons, Joseph and Benjamin. Yaqub's love for his 2 youngest sons made his other sons jealous. They sold their brother Joseph into slavery and told their father he'd been killed by a wild animal. Joseph, or Yusuf in Arabic, wound up a slave in Egypt. At this time, Egypt had been conquered by the Hyksos. The Hyksos were not Egyptian and may have come from parts of Western Asia. Yusuf suffered many trials in Egypt and was eventually imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. However, Allah had blessed Yusuf alayhi salam with the gift of dream interpretation. Yusuf used this gift to save Egypt from a disastrous famine. Yusuf was soon freed from prison, joined the king's administration, and became one of the most powerful men in Egypt. However, outside of Egypt, the famine ravished the land. It was not long before Yusuf's brothers came to Egypt seeking help. After an awkward reunion, Yusuf alayhi salam forgave his brothers for their previous deception and invited them and their families, including their father Jacob, to stay in Egypt. There are several names for these children of Jacob. Jacob, or Yaqub alayhi salam, was also known as Israel in the Bible. His descendants are often called the children of Israel. They are not named after the land, but after their ancestor, Jacob. In Arabic, this is translated as Bani Isra'eel. The children of Israel are also called Israelites. Israelites and Israelis are not the same. An Israeli is a citizen of the modern state of Israel. An Israelite is one of these ancient Semitic people descended from Jacob. Another term that is often used is Hebrew. The word Hebrew likely originated in Egypt and means from the other side. The Hebrews flourished under the Hyksos government in Egypt. They enjoyed a high status thanks to Yusuf's close relationship with the Hyksos king. But 100 years later, all of that changed. The Egyptians rose up against the Hyksos and drove them out. The re-established Egyptian monarchy now saw the Hebrews as collaborators with their foreign oppressors. As punishment, the Egyptians enslaved the Hebrews for nearly 2 centuries. During their enslavement, the Hebrews multiplied rapidly. In order to control their numbers and as a form of humiliation, the Egyptian government passed a law declaring all newborn Hebrew boys were to be killed immediately upon birth. It is within this era of despair that Moses, or Musa in Arabic, was born to the tribe of Levi. Musa's mother placed him in a basket and set him in a river to escape the Egyptian law. Eventually, baby Musa was taken in by a member of the royal household and raised as an Egyptian prince. As a young man, Musa witnessed an Egyptian official beating a Hebrew slave. Musa struck the official and accidentally killed him. Musa, who was now a wanted man, fled into the wilderness, possibly to the Sinai Peninsula. He was taken in by an old man living in the area, served him for many years, and eventually married one of his daughters. One day, while walking with his family and animals, Musa saw a burning bush. When he went to investigate, a voice called to him from the burning bush. Musa alayhi salam learned that he was a messenger of Allah tasked with the responsibility of rescuing his people from Egypt. Together with his brother Aaron, or Harun in Arabic, Musa confronted the Egyptian emperor, whose title was Pharaoh. Musa warned Pharaoh of Allah's commandment to free the Hebrews and advised him to worship Allah alone. The Egyptians of this time practiced a complex religion that revolved around the worship of the Pharaoh. When Pharaoh refused to heed the warnings, Allah sent devastating punishments on Egypt. Eventually, Allah ordered Musa alayhi salam to take his people and leave Egypt. Even though Musa and the Israelites successfully escaped Egyptian slavery, that first generation was not prepared to carry out Allah's plan. They had been slaves for too long and could not escape their mental shackles. It wasn't long before they were worshiping idols, complaining about their food, and challenging Musa's authority. Hence, they wandered through the wilderness of Arabia for another 40 years. During this period, Musa and Harun alayhimus salam died, and a new leader named Joshua, or Yusha in Arabic, became the leader of Bani Isra'eel. In the next episode, inshallah, we will discuss Bani Isra'eel and their time in Canaan and Babylon.